Good morning, dear students. Today we'll start our new chapter, decimal fractions. So, what is decimal fraction? This definition I am giving you and explaining this one. What is decimal fractions? Okay. What is a decimal fraction? Here is the definition. You see this one. What is a decimal fraction? In algebra, in decimal fraction is a fraction whose denominator, down one is our denominator in a fraction, suppose 2 by 10. So this 10 is our denominator. Denominator is 10 or multiple of 10, like our maybe it is 100, 1000 or 10,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakh, like this it is going. If a fraction is like this, so this one will be our decimal fraction. In algebra, a decimal fraction is a fraction whose denominator is 10 or a multiple of 10, like our 100, 1000, 10,000, etc. So down portion you will see how 1 by 10. That means out of 10 box, here 10 box are there, out of 10 box 1 box. So result will be our 0.1. 7 by 10. So result will be our 0.7. 18 by 100. So after 18 we will write here and 2 zeros are their denominator. So 2 number will shift in our right side, this side will shift. Left, from right side to left side will shift 1 number, 2 number, then here will be our decimal. Then 57 by our 1000. 57, see 57. We need to divide it by 1000. So 3 zeros are there. How many zeros are there? 3 zeros. So 3 numbers we need to shift from our right side to left side. So 1 number, 2 number, another number is not there. So here we need to give our 1 0 before it. So it will be our 3, and before it is we need to give decimal. Then our 124 by our 1000. So this one how it is, see 124 first of all write, and how many zeros are there? 3 zeros. That means we need to shift 3 numbers, 3 digits from our right to left. So 1, 2, 3, here we need to give decimal. Now we'll start next our place value of our what name? Decimal place value chart. This one will explain about this one. What name? Let me see what it is. Place value, decimal place value. This one will explain now. So here it is our place value. It is place value for our decimal fractions. This one. So after decimal, this point, suppose 1, 2, 3. So this name, first number, it is our 10th, not 10th, 10th. TH will come 10th. Then 100th. Then will be our 1000. TH will be our last, like this. Down will see this one. TH will be tenths, hundredths, thousandths, like this. So suppose 0.123. So this number it is after decimal, so it will be 1 into 1 by 100. Plus this one is our 2 into 1 by 100. Plus next last number this one 3 into, it is our 1000 place, so 1 by 1000. Now I am giving one more description about this this place value. You will listen, you understand more nicely will be able to understand.
What we're going to do in this video is refresh our understanding of place value, but we're going to dig a little bit deeper and think about place value in the context of decimals. So just as a refresher, if I had the number 973, this should be review for you. We already know that this rightmost space right over here, this is the ones place. And if we move 1 space to the left of that, this is the tens place. Notice we went from ones to tens. Tens are 10 times as much as ones. And then we move 1 space to the left of that, we go to we multiply by tens again, we get to the hundreds space. And so this 9 doesn't just represent 9, it represents 900. Or we could write that as 900. Similarly, the 7 doesn't just represent 7, it represents 7 tens or 70. This 3 represents 3 ones, so it actually does represent 3. But as I promised, we're now going to extend our understanding. And what we do is we put a decimal here, which you've probably seen before, at the right. And the reason why we even need a decimal is to really tell us where our ones place is. We say, oh, okay, if we go right to the left of the decimal, that's going to be our one space. Because once we start introducing decimals, we can introduce as many spaces as we want to the right of the decimal. And so let's think about those a little bit. If when we went from hundreds to tens, notice, we divided by 10. When we go from tens to ones, notice you divide by 10. So what do you think this place over here is going to be called? Well, what happens if you take 1 divided by 10? Well, then you get a tenth. So, as you might imagine, this is the tenths place. And then if you were to go one place to the right of that, what would this place be? Well, it would be tenths divided by 10, or 1/10 of a tenth. So this would be a hundredths place. And then if you were to go one space to the right, and we could keep doing this forever, but if we were to go one space to the right of that, what would it be? Well, a hundredth divided by 10, or 1/10 of a hundredth, is a thousandth space. And so, for example, if I were to extend this number, instead of it just being 973, if I were to write 973.526, what do these numbers, these digits represent? This 5 doesn't just represent 5, it represents 5/10. Or another way of writing 5/10, you could write it like this, 0.5. You just have a 5 in the tenths place. Or you could write it as 5/10. This 2, and I think you get where this is going, this doesn't just represent 2, it represents 2 hundredths. I'm just going to make it very explicit in this video so it's very clear. 2 hundredths. Another way to write that is you just write a 2 in the hundredths place. So we're going 1, 2 spaces to the right of the decimal, or you could write it as 2 over 100, 2 hundredths. And so, for kicks, pause the video. What are all the different ways of representing this 6? What does this 6 represent? Well, this is 6 thousandths. 6 thousandths. Thousandths. There you go. I could also write that as 0. Let's see, this is the tenths place, hundredths place, and then in the thousandths place, I have 6. Or I could write this as 6 over 1,000, 6 thousandths. So big picture, place value, we can keep going to the right of the decimal, and we can start representing things that are, I guess you could say, more precise.